Radio. Hey, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. Today is Sunday, October 21st, 2018, and we are live tonight. We have a lot to talk about. We have a jam-packed show. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot that took place this past week. I was speaking at Hartford Memorial Baptist Church Friday and Saturday here in Detroit for their Social Justice Ministry Conference, Social Justice Ministry Conference. And I was on the panel discussion on Friday, and I did 2 workshops on Saturday. And this year's theme was dealing with Dr. King. We know this was we commemorated the 50th anniversary of Dr. King's assassination. So thanks to everybody who came out. Thanks to everybody who came to my workshops. I had a really good turnout for my workshops. I dealt with the distortion of the revolution. I dealt with the distortion of the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the revolutionary, will not be televised on the television. The distortion of the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the revolutionary, will not be televised on the television. So I dealt with the revolutionary Dr. King as opposed to the emasculated Dr. King they tell you about every Dr. King Day. Okay. And thanks to Sister Mary Grant, who asked me to do a presentation again, do a workshop, and be part of the Social Justice Ministry Conference, and Reverend Charles Adams and everybody involved. Okay. And the keynote speaker was Jonathan Jackson, who is the middle son of Reverend Jesse Jackson Jr. So I got to meet him yesterday as well. All right, so, hey, look, on tonight's show, we're going to deal with a few topics. Number one, hashtag being black, hashtag wild black. It continues. White people keep calling the police on African Americans for no reason, but they are facing backlash. White people keep calling the police on African Americans for no reason. I guess it's a fear of a black planet, fear of the browning of America. Gentrification has something to do with this. But you would think they would have some classes for white people moving into African American neighborhoods to teach them the culture, to teach them how to interact with their new neighbors. You would think that would make sense. You know, you remember on Sanford and Son, I think it was the 6th season, the 6th and last season. Remember when Miss Jane from the Beverly Hillbillies would play, she was the mother of Hoppy, the white police officer, and the Aunt Esther and the other African Americans there in the ghetto taught her the ways of the ghetto. Remember that? So she could interact with them, so she wouldn't say the wrong thing and something happened to her. Remember that? They need classes like that for the gentrifiers. You know, just a thought. So we'll talk about some of these recent examples that have been taking place across the country. We've seen them across our timelines. We saw on Good Morning America, we saw the case out of Brooklyn. This is probably getting the most attention, of a 9-year-old African-American boy who was accused of sexually assaulting a white woman. And this is also a case of gentrification, right? She claimed he grabbed her flat behind. And he didn't do it. And the video proved that he was innocent, but she just turned around and, you know, he was in the store with his mother. He had his backpack on. He turns around. His backpack brushes up against her. And she turned around and saw this 9-year-old black boy and automatically thought the worst. Automatically thought guilty. Automatically thought this 9-year-old boy was, quote unquote, trying to sexually assault her. Okay, so we'll talk some about that case there. And then there's some other stories dealing with hashtag being black. Hashtag being black. And see, what's happening is that, unfortunately, now this does not apply to all white people, but this applies to some of them. A lot of them are Donald Trump supporters. And see, they're out here trying to do Donald Trump. They're out here popping off at the mouth. They're out here calling African Americans the N-word, all this stuff, right? And they're facing consequences. See, they're trying to do Donald Trump, but they don't have Donald Trump money. They don't have Secret Service protection. They're losing their jobs. They're being put on blast on social media. So they're finding out, right, that being Trump has consequences. So we had the case of the Lyft passenger who was calling the African-American man the N-word and being very disrespectful. He lost his job. We have the case of white woman in St. Louis who was blocking the African American man from entering into the apartment building where he lived because she didn't think he was supposed to be there, apparently, right? So you have case after case after case. And the great thing about it is that this stuff is captured on video. So we can document it. We can document it. It can go viral. All right? So people need to, think, because this is something Trump doesn't like to do, right? So they need to think and realize that these actions have consequences. Then you have the case that happened out of Dunkin' Donuts, right? And you have a situation where it was a family from Somalia, okay? And they're actually refugees from Somalia. They were speaking their native language, and the white woman who was the shift manager, the manager there, she's running the drive-through. She had a problem with them speaking their native language, okay? And she threatened to call the police on them. Imagine that, okay? So we're going to talk about some of these cases here of hashtag being black and what's behind this. Because see, there's a fear of the browning of America, and see, this fear that comes out of white supremacy and racism and the need to preserve genetic white survival. This plays right into the rampant voter suppression that we see taking place in the state of Georgia. Now, let me ask you a question. For African Americans, if you think your vote doesn't matter, why are they working so hard in the state of Georgia to suppress the African American vote? This past Monday, you just had a situation, it's either Monday or Tuesday, first day of early voting in Georgia. A bus of about 40 African American seniors leaving a community center. It's a community center for elders. It wasn't a retirement home. They didn't live there. And it's a nonpartisan group, Black Voters Matter. They were taking the bus. They had the bus and they were taking them to go vote, right? So apparently one of the officials saw this and thought it was a problem. They made a call. They were told to get off the bus. That's the opposite of the Spike Lee movie. Get on the bus, going to the Million Man March. So, and Roland Martin interviewed Latasha Brown, who's a co-founder of Black Voters Matter, on AM Joanne Reed this past Saturday. She had Latasha Brown on as well. But Brian Kemp is the Secretary of State in Georgia. Brian Kemp, okay? Not to be confused with Johnny Kemp. Friday night just got paid. Two different people. He's black. Brian Kemp is white. Don't confuse the two, okay? That's a throwback to the New Jack Swing era. But Brian Kemp is the Secretary of State in Georgia. And he's using the exact match voter suppression tactic, right? And so far, he's also the Republican nominee to be governor, running against Stacey Abrams, who is African-American female, and she is the Democratic nominee for governor. So Brian Kemp's office has canceled over 1.4 million voter registrations since 2012. Nearly 670,000 registrations were canceled in 2017 alone. If your vote doesn't matter, why are they working so hard to suppress your vote? Then you have the Hill.com reported on October 19, 2018, 107,000 voters have been purged from Georgia voter rolls for not voting in the past two elections. 107,000. If your vote doesn't matter, why are they working so hard to suppress your vote? Or maybe Republicans fear the African American vote more than we know the value of the African American vote, right? And the people running around telling you don't vote, you should ask them, who's paying you to tell us not to vote? That's a legitimate question. The people who are running around telling you don't vote in 2016, you should have asked them, who's paying you to tell us not to vote? Because they weren't telling Donald Trump supporters don't vote. So all this is taking place at the same time. Then you had Donald Trump, who was campaigning. He's on the campaign trail. He'd rather be in the campaign trail than in the White House, right? He was on the campaign trail this past week, and he had the nerve to say that Stacey Abrams is unqualified to be governor. She has more qualifications to be governor than you had qualifications to be president. She has a law degree from Yale University. This is a brilliant sister. If elected November 6th, Stacey Abrams would be the country's first African-American female governor. There is a fear among some white people, not all white people, because some white people support Stacey Abrams. You have some woke white folks in Georgia, and they're supporting Stacey Abrams. Despite what Donald Trump says, Stacey Abrams has a long history in public service, and she's highly qualified to be governor of Georgia. This is thinkprogress.org. They have an article from October 20th, 2018, breaking this down. Okay, so we're going to deal with this because the voter suppression is rampant. We see it in North Dakota. Now, when Republicans are working hard to try to disenfranchise Native Americans from voting in North Dakota, Dakota was a Native American tribe. This is land that Europeans stole from Native Americans and indigenous African people who were here even before Native Americans came into existence. You know they're desperate when they're trying to disenfranchise Native Americans. I mean, this is ridiculous. You gonna say the Native American vote doesn't matter? And it was the Native American vote that helped put Heidi Heitkamp, helped elect her as a U.S. Senator, okay, there in North Dakota. So you have Republicans who fear and value the African American vote more than many African Americans do. Imagine that. Then in Colorado, AtlantaBlackStar.com reported October 18th, Colorado voters given another chance to abolish slavery in upcoming midterm elections. Colorado voters given another chance to abolish slavery in upcoming midterm elections. Residents in Colorado have an opportunity to vote during midterm elections on whether or not the state should amend the Constitution to abolish slavery as a form of punishment. This ties into what we talked about last week when we broke down some of the statements that Kanye West made with his meeting with Donald Trump. And a lot of what he said was nonsense and gibberish, but there was some truths to what he was saying. So we ran out of time last week dealing with that conversation. And I was dealing, and I segued from that into the history of how and why African Americans switched from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party. From the Republican Party to the Democratic Party. So most people think we switched because of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. No, that's not true. By 1960, 2/3 of African Americans had already switched over to the Democratic Party. You got to go back to the Republic. You have to go back to the presidential race of 1928. 1928, when Herbert Hoover wins the Republican nomination, and he's running against a Northern Democrat named Al Smith from New York. So we're going to continue that discussion and deal with part 2 of the history of why African Americans switch from being Republicans to Democrats, and it centers around African Americans being pushed out of the Republican Party because of the Lily White movement that basically starts in 1928, the Lily White movement, which was a movement basically largely led by Herbert Hoover to push African Americans out of the Republican Party and to ignore their needs, to have racially ambivalent policies. And he implements a Southern strategy to win the votes of Southern Republicans who were segregationists. Okay, this is history. So we didn't become Democrats. The majority of African Americans, over 90% of African Americans are Democrats or vote as Democrats. We didn't become Democrats because of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. You got to go back over 30 years before that and study the history to understand this. And there were some legitimate reasons why we switched from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party. And it had to do with policies. It had to do with our issues being ignored. So we're going to continue that discussion as well. Okay? All right. And then we'll talk about the African American seniors who were singled out for voter suppression as well there in Jefferson County this past Monday. All right, so on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right knowledge corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man's thoughts, you can control the circumference of his actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now, we deal with a number of different topics here on the show. We deal with current events and history and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Also, go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and sign up for our email newsletter there. You can also donate to the African History Network. Hey, if you like this type of information, you value this type of information, you can help support the African History Network. You can order our DVD lectures there. We have there our digital downloads. Also, you can make a donation. That helps us to keep doing the research, stay on the air, etc. Okay? All right, and also we're going to be joined in the second part of the first hour by Dr. Kefentse Chike, professor of African American Studies, Africana Studies at Wayne State University, to talk about the community effort to save the progressive programming at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. You listen to the African History Network show, 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, guys, stand by. 2 minute break, mandatory 2-minute break. I was on a roll. We got to take a 2-minute break. We'll be back in a few minutes here. Stand by. Everybody watching, share this broadcast on your Facebook page. Share this broadcast on your Facebook page. Invite your friends to tune in also, okay?
Enjoy the clean water. Our employees deliver.
Share this broadcast on your Facebook page. How's everybody doing tonight?
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
And my computer was freezing up some.
Since 2014,
Rachel, so I gotta email you this clip.
24/7, 365 days a year.
How's everybody doing? Who we have here? We got Wayne, Angie, and then we've got the Mail Trek DVDs for our children to teach them their history, animated series for our children, teach them their history.
My job or even my family. Most insurance covers substance abuse. You can get back on track.
All right, can we get this? All right, y'all, just give me a minute here because I need to send this email.
Somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I have something to hold on to for strength. I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call 800-379-4799, 800-379-4799.
Listen up, America. Are you or a loved one suffering with an addiction to alcohol, opiates,
All right, stand by.
painkillers, or other drugs?
How's everybody doing?
There is hope. Medication-assisted treatment is
Eric
proven
Toomer.
most effective for opiate addiction recovery. Utilizing medications such as methadone, Suboxone, and Subutex, combined with inpatient treatment, you can achieve lasting recovery. Most insurance is accepted, so call us now.
Please call 800-625-5860.
Stay up to date with current events and breaking news.
All right, stand by, guys. We'll be back in a couple
Search it
minutes
by
here.
910 AM Superstation on Facebook, and you'll see everything new, everything exciting, and all things Detroit. 910 AM Superstation News on Facebook Live right now. 910 AM Superstation, giving you exactly what you need by any means necessary.
How's everybody? Gunjamon, how you doing?
910 AM Superstation. What's your question or comment?
One of the complaints that I hear when I talk about the sales tax on services is, oh, a sales tax would be regressive. It would hurt the poor. Well, some of the things that low-income people buy are taxed. But, you know, I'm a season
Back in a
ticket
minute
holder
here.
at Spartan Stadium, and when I look around my section of the stadium, I don't see any low-income people. I'm a season
25 seconds.
Okay. It's Rachel Simone, right?
Yeah, you sending it to me now?
Yeah.
It's gonna take a minute, so.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Tickets are not purchased by low-income people, so there's an awful lot of stuff that relatively affluent folks buy
910 AM Superstation. We are the future of radio. Whatever
Okay,
you need,
I just said
it's
to you.
right here on 910
And it-
AM Superstation.
I want to talk a little bit about something. If you saw the news yesterday, there is a very, very
Okay.
disturbing
I just saying it may take a minute to get, and then it has to started at the 23:10 mark, right around there. When you get it up, it's queued up there. All right, guys.
You, if you buy the game and you're playing it, you are the actual active shooter, killing kids in a school, mostly female.
Stand by. Okay, we got Maria. Keep teaching. Lynette. Okay, so for children, we have the Mel Trek series for children, animated series for kids. Okay, to teach them ancient African history and pre-Columbian history. This is at African History Network. Okay, 15 seconds. This is at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. AfricanHistoryNetwork.com.
910 AM Superstation. We are the future of radio.
2, 1.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. Hey, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday, September 21st, 2018, and we are live tonight. Hey, I want to thank everybody who came out to the 2018 Social Justice Ministry Conference at Hartford Memorial Baptist Church here in Detroit. I was speaking there once again this year. I was on a panel discussion on Friday dealing with Dr. King's legacy and Dr. King, Is This America? And where do we go from here? And then Saturday I did 2 workshops dealing with the distortion of the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the revolutionary, will not be televised on the television, okay? And we have, had a really good turnout for my workshops. We have my full presentation dealing with the distortion of Dr. King's legacy available at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. It's a 2-hour presentation. And then we have 30 of these in stock right now as a special promotion, because you'll get an additional additional DVD free that has 2 presentations on it that I've done. The Day Dr. King Met Malcolm X. The Day Dr. King Met Malcolm X. And then also it deals with 6 myths about Dr. King we need to stop believing. And then also it has the presentation dealing with why did Dr. King tell us to redistribute the pain, understanding the power of economic withdrawal. Why did Dr. King tell us to redistribute the pain, understanding the power of economic withdrawal? And I did that on April 4th, 2018, which was the 50th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. King. So that's available at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. It's $15, and you get the second DVD free. Okay, we have 30 of those in stock. All right, so right before the break, I was telling you about some of the things we're going to talk about tonight, and we were talking some about why African Americans switched from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party. Okay, so we'll deal with that. We'll deal with that as well. Okay, I want to jump into the first topic here, dealing with hashtag being black. Hashtag being black, right? Because we keep seeing these stories, and there's more and more of them that are being covered. We are being bombarded with stories of white people who keep calling the police on African Americans. White people who keep calling the police on African Americans, okay, for no reason. All right, they fear, they think we don't belong where we're supposed to be, things like this, right? So if we look in St. Louis, NBCnews.com has an article from October 17th. Woman in viral St. Louis apartment building video says she was in the right. Now, her name is Hillary Thornton, okay? And she tried to block an African-American man from entering his St. Louis apartment building, okay, week before last. And she says she doesn't believe she did anything wrong. Now, Hillary Thornton, whose encounter with Darian Tolles, T-O-L-E-S, went viral after he posted videos of the Friday night confrontation. She said she was just following directions given to her by the Condo Association board members at Elder Shirt Lofts, L-O-F-T-S, Elder Shirt Lofts. Now, she told the local TV station there, KTVI, that board members tell tenants not to let anyone who they don't know into the building. Elder Shirt lofts has 31 units, according to a realty site. Okay. Hillary Thornton said, quote, I do not think that I did anything wrong. I upheld the ask of me to its fullest extent, end quote. Right. But do you know everybody lives in all 31 units? Now, see, the first question I would ask, you remember on Sanford and Son when Lamont had to go to traffic court, and it was a white cop that wrote him the ticket, and Fred acted as his attorney, and he asked the white cop, "What do you have against black drivers?" And he said, "I don't have anything against black drivers." You said you do. You said you don't. He said, "Look at all these N words in here." You said he said you don't have anything against black drivers. He said he asked him, you know, how many tickets you write for white drivers? He said I write a lot of tickets. He said, you do? Where are they? So the question I would ask her is, how many times do you block white people from coming into this building? That's the question I would ask her. How many times have you blocked white people from coming into the building? Okay? And do you know everybody in all 31 units? So Hillary Thornton says she had the front door to the building slightly open when De'Arian Tolles came home. She asked to see his key fob. Tolles refused to show her his key fob, which prompts Thornton to tell him she's uncomfortable. He then managed to get into the building in what Thornton called an altercation. She followed Tolles into the elevator and up to his apartment, where he entered his key. Tolles said Thornton called police, and two officers showed up at his door a short time later. St. Louis police said a call was made to the apartment building, but no report was written. Now, Hillary Thornton ended up being fired from her job. This went viral. There are consequences to this. So you have, this is what I told people was going to happen back during the 2016 election cycle, right? So you have a lot of white people who have become emboldened, okay? They're confronting African Americans, calling us all type of names. We've seen a number of stories about this, right? There have been repercussions. See, they're trying to do Trump, but they're facing backlash. See, Trump is more protected, but he's going to face some backlash also. But they're facing backlash, okay? So she was fired from her job working for a luxury apartment building company. She didn't work at this apartment building, okay? And the building she works for is not affiliated with the building that she and Tolles live in. She told KTVI that she's received death threats and said she's being called said that she being called a racist is heartbreaking. Okay. Now she's also said that she's married to a man of color. I don't know what that has anything to do with it. Okay. She's estranged. They're separated. Okay. The station reported that Thornton is legally married to an African-American man, end quote. She filed for divorce from Brandon Mueller, Mueller, M-U-E-L-L-E-R, on October 9th, 2018, Missouri Record Show. A man with a Facebook profile under that name posted a video last week, Sunday, expressing, quote-unquote, deep disappointment with the situation and criticizing Thornton's actions. Now, Mueller, who identifies himself as a quote-unquote man of color, if he's African-American, I'm not sure why he doesn't identify as African-American or black as opposed to man of color. That's a very broad, general term. He said he has been separated from Thornton for more than a year and doesn't live in Elder Shirt Building. He said, quote, my only hope is that we as a community can use this as an opportunity to do what my late father told me to do many years ago, to not allow others' ignorance to incite anger and hatred, but to use it as an opportunity to learn, grow, and promote love, end quote. Okay, he said in the video statement. And then you had an article from thegrio.com, thegrio.com, okay? And this one was from, I think, October 19th. Black man blocked by white woman from apartment. He said, quote unquote, she brought firing on herself. Okay. He said she brought firing on herself. He said, quote, she did what she did to herself. I really don't have much to say about her and her work life. told the CBS affiliate KMOV Channel 4. So now I know there's an article from theroot.com. He said he forgave her. He didn't want to keep. He said he didn't wish any harm on her or anything like that. Okay. He said, I am not mad at her. I'm not upset with her. I'm not going to go after her legally or anything like that. I wish her the best. I would still have a conversation with her, he said. Okay. And he went on to say, I appreciate all the love and support. Like I said, don't respond negatively. Don't go after the lady. Let her be at peace. Let her live her life. Okay, he added. All right, so check out that article from thegrio.com. There's more to it. Black man blocked by white woman from apartment. She brought firing on herself. GRIO, thegrio.com. All right. So then you have the story of the Lyft passenger, right? You know, like Uber, you have Lyft, rideshare. You got the story of the Lyft passenger named David Ortiz, O-R-T-I-Z, David Ortiz. And this video has gone viral. Many of us have seen it, okay? So he's expressing remorse now. He regrets his racial rant against the African-American driver, but that's after he lost his job. See, people out here trying to do Trump, and they're learning their consequences for this, okay? So a drunken Lyft passenger wants folks to know he's not racist, despite the now viral video of him cursing and berating his African-American driver from the backseat. But he calls him an N-word repeatedly also. Now, you know, if you're not racist, you sure have a funny way of showing it. I'm just saying, you know. And the brother was calm. The brother was calm. Because, see, now here's what's going to happen. See, what's going to happen is these people are going to jump out here, jumping bad, trying to do Trump, and their mouth is going to write a check that behind can't cash. They're going to run into the wrong brother or sister. This is what's going to happen. They're going to run into the wrong brother or sister. All right? So a drunken Lyft passenger wants folks to know he's not racist, despite the viral video of him cursing and berating an African-American man from the back seat. So the video posted earlier this month shows writer David Ortiz accusing driver Sean Letterman of racial discrimination and threatening to have him fired. All because Letterman, the driver, refused to change the music in his car. Now, David Ortiz told New York's PIX Channel 11 the incident happened in August 2018 after a night out drinking with friends. Okay? And he said, quote, at the end of the day, my actions were unjustifiable, he told the TV station. There's nothing I can say behind that to say but this. No, I was drinking. A lot of the stuff I said, I didn't even remember until the next day. Okay? See, people have to realize, like, when you go out here and get drunk, people need to stop getting drunk out in public. If you're going to get drunk at home. Because people go out here, get drunk out in public. They do things they would not have done when they're sober. They say things they would not have said if they were sober. And those actions have consequences. He said, my actions were completely wrong. I wouldn't want anyone to be spoken to the way I spoke to him. Okay? Now, recalling the incident, David Ortiz said the exchange began when he asked Sean Letterman, the African-American Lyft driver, if he could change the music they were listening to. Letterman told him the radio was broken, but his passenger did not believe him. He said, quote, I bet if I was black and like Black Lives Matter, he would change the radio. Okay? He said, your driver, I guess, assumed because of the color of my complexion was not black that I asked for music and it was a problem. So David Ortiz explained that he and Sean Letterman began arguing back and forth. Okay, now this is, Sean Letterman is recording this on video also. Okay? And some of the Uber drivers and Lyft drivers, they have video. A lot of times they have a sign inside the vehicle, outside the video, saying that, you know, for your protection, for our protection, this vehicle has surveillance equipment, video surveillance, something like that. So Ortiz said, and he was like, the radio is broken. And I'm looking at him like, no, it's not. And I started pointing at the radio like it's not broken. So the New York man said he felt he and his friends were mistreated because of their ethnicity and sexual orientation. Okay, so they're gay. So he's saying he feels the African American man was discriminated against him because he's Puerto Rican. And a lot of Puerto Ricans are Spanish-speaking Africans. If you understand the history of Puerto Rico, he said, I'm Puerto Rican. He told the station. He said, I'm from the Bronx. I'm gay. He said, like, we know discrimination. You just smell it in the air. You know when someone is uncomfortable around you, end quote. This is what David Ortiz said. Now, despite his drunken words, Ortiz insists he's not a racist and says that's not the way he was raised. He said, so who what made you think it was all right to sit here and call him the N-word over and over again like this and cuss him out? Who raised you to do that? I'm just curious. Or was that the alcohol talking? You gonna blame it? You gonna do like Jamie Foxx said? You gonna blame it on the alcohol? Is that what you're gonna do? I mean, these incidents are hilarious, and they're captured on video. And people they're facing consequences and repercussions. So despite his drunken words, Ortiz insists he's not racist and says that's not the way he was raised. He since posted a video on YouTube apologizing for his actions. He said, quote, I didn't have anything deep or anything in the back of my mind. Okay, he says in the video, it was not like that. It was just things that I said because I felt some sort of way at the moment. All right. Now, according to the local news station there, PIX Channel 11, the viral video rant has cost Ortiz his job with City MD, and Lyft has banned him for life. Okay. Banned him for life from being able to use the Lyft service. Ortiz said he's also received countless hateful messages since the video went viral and now has no way of providing for his family. He says he doesn't want pity, however, but simply wants to put the ordeal behind him. Now, as for Sean Letterman, the African-American Lyft driver, he has since launched a GoFundMe page that has amassed over $40,000. He explained that Lyft suspended his account pending an investigation into the incident, and he needed money to cover his expenses. Luckily, this brother was recording the incident. So he can back up and document what was happening. All right, that's extremely important. All right, on the line, we're joined by Dr. Kefentse Chike. Dr. Kefentse Chike is a professor of Africana Studies at Wayne State University, my alma mater, and he is part of the committee to save the progressive programming at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. So he's here to give us an update on what's going on with that effort. Hotep, Dr. Kefentse Chike, how you doing tonight, brother?
I'm Michael Imhotep. How are you?
I'm all right, man.
Just a little tired on a Sunday night trying to get ready for the upcoming week.
Oh, I understand that, brother. I understand that. So it was good to have you on. Good to talk to you. All right, brother. So you were at the meeting this past Thursday, and I was there also. So give people an update on what's going on with the museum and why is this committee necessary?
Well, there's been a few things that have happened at the museum. I would say over the past 6 months or so. I don't remember when the most recent director of the museum was ousted, but it appears that she was ousted by the board, and this raised some concern with community members, community activists, really a wide array of people in the community, and along with some conservative, what appears to be some conservative type input in the upcoming program, as well as what some people in the community feels is too much corporate representation on the board, or too much corporate interest in terms of dictating or trying to move towards dictating the programming of the museum. So I'm not sure about all of the different factors, but those are some. And I think the thing that kind of brought things to a head that alerted the community that has come together to form this coalition. And actually the coalition is the Coalition for Ensuring the Black Legacy at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History.
Right.
So those, I think, the ousting, what appeared to be the ousting of Juanita Moore from the position as a director was probably the kind of focal point that alerted many people in the community that we needed to step up and do something. So there was a clarion call out to community activists, and really this call went out to the Detroit community, but it really expanded across the country. It went national and even possibly international. There was a petition sent out on the internet, and we got more than 17,000 signatures. We got supporters from MoveOn.org and thecolorofchange.org as well. And this started with a call. Now the coalition has been formed that I just mentioned.
Right.
And there's been, I think, 4 organizing meetings that organized and began to develop strategies, methods, and approaches to help retain what we feel is the focus of the museum should be, and what we feel that Dr. Charles H. Wright's intention was in formulating the museum.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so and then also I know one of the issues was that the exhibit of Thomas Jefferson is coming to scheduled to come to the museum during African American History Month, and this is an exhibit. It's like the first of its kind, which talks about his Monticello estate, talks about slavery on his Monticello estate, but it also deals with a dichotomy of the paradox of him talking about liberty but enslaving African people also.
Yes, and that was a point that, and I've heard different conversations around the exhibit, but one of the points, the contradiction was brought out a couple hundred years ago by Benjamin Banneker, who wrote a letter to Thomas Jefferson, essentially calling him out in his hypocrisy in terms of him being somebody that advocated for all these things in the Constitution, freedom and equality to men and all of these things.
Right.
And Benjamin Banneker wrote him a letter essentially pointing out his contradictions, expressing that he didn't even support these ideas when it came to black people. But I've heard some people say that's part of the justification for bringing the exhibit. And that's problematic. And what I didn't hear people say in conversations I've had with people is Thomas Jefferson responded to Benjamin Banneker's letter, but he totally ignored Benjamin Banneker's claim, because when Benjamin Banneker wrote the letter to him, he also sent him a copy of an almanac that he had written, and Jefferson basically ignored the issue that the main issue that Banneker was trying to make. And that speaks volumes along with other things we know about Thomas Jefferson, particularly as it pertains to African people of African descent. And I've had the opportunity to go to Monticello.
Right.
And it was huge. And according to the people that were there leading the tour that I was a part of, they said at any given time it was 600 enslaved Africans on that plantation.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It was a 5,000-acre plantation. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I've
talked about this in the show that I do on WHPR for the past few weeks. Since this coalition has been in existence, I've brought it up every week. And I forgot the point I was going to make. I just had a point I wanted to make. But what I was going to say is, if the exhibit needs to come here, if somebody feels so compelled to bring it here, personally as a historian, I feel like it would be much more appropriate at the DIA if somebody really feels like it needs to come here. Why the Charles H. Wright Museum? And in fact, to me, in many ways, the fact that it would come to the Charles Wright is indicative of the system that we see the country in terms of anti-black, right-wing, and all of these type of things.
Right.
So that's just my personal opinion, or maybe personal and professional opinion as well.
Oh, absolutely. You're absolutely correct about that. And there's an attempt to water down the progressive programming at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History also.
Indeed.
There's an opportunity to water down the progressive programming also at the museum as well. Okay, and we know that the vice president of programming there is Charles Farrell. He's brought in people like Dr. Wade Nobles, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Professor James Small. He's brought in some very well-known scholars. There was just a forum dealing with Walter Rodney on yesterday. And Walter Rodney, wrote How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. So talk about that a little bit if you can.
About the programming?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, as a person that's been an African-centered educator, professor of African American studies, I think reasonably well versed and grounded in African and Afrocentric methods, research and programming, education, all of that. I think that Charles Farrell has done an excellent job. He's brought in, he just reaches into a lot of places that you don't even think of finding people, Black Panthers, and even people that are more obscure actors in our history that have done things to exercise agency in the best interest of our people. So I think he's doing an excellent job of programming, and when I think about this in terms of like the Thomas Jefferson exhibit just being one instance of there being what appears to be an attack on the programming, I'm reminded of the Detroit Board of Education when it had a more African-centered focus.
Right.
We had sisters like Dahir Shabaka, Norman McCrae, Catherine Blackwell, and others that were operating within the inside of that system to bring in educators, some of the same people you named. We had what was called the Black Child in Crisis Conference, and they later changed the name. But what they were doing, and this is what black people should do when we gain control of these institutions, they were bringing in Melissa Asante, Maulana Karenga, all of the people that were generating knowledge, information, scholarship, research, textbooks that were geared towards truly countering the concept of miseducation. And as I think about it, it's important that we protect Charles Farrell, and that's a part of what this committee seeks to do, because we know, and I can't say specifically how, but we know there was a shift in the direction that the Detroit public schools took. We know the schools were taken over by emergency managers were imposed on the schools, and people were taken out of positions and things like that, and the whole focus of DPS shifted, along with the fact that, they came in, the state came in stealing money.
Right.
So I'm just saying we need to be a little more proactive, and I think that's what we're doing by realizing that this type of programming could be perceived as a threat, and the community needs to do everything that we can to protect Brother Charles, because if this is the type of programming that we need. The museum, when I was in the meeting the other day, somebody said the museum is a form of healing for some of us.
Yes.
Healing the ravages of slavery, the ghost of plantation, which is what Dr. Naeem Akbar calls it, because we have vestiges of stuff with us from slavery. So a museum can be a point of re-Africanization for us. So we feel like we have to retain control But what's also essential to this, and I really want your listeners to be mindful of this, and we need to be mindful as well, we need to make sure that we are investing by buying memberships.
Yes.
Supporting the museum. It's hard to make a claim when you don't have a membership.
Absolutely.
I mean, collectively.
Absolutely. And I know membership for an adult is, if I remember correctly, $35 for a year. Membership for a family is like $60, $65. And for children, it's only like $5 a year, okay, for a membership. So the website is thewright.org, WRIGHT, thewright.org. We're almost out of time here. When's the next meeting? Do you know?
You know what? And I was trying to prepare notes for this, and I don't know if I did get to the meeting late, and near the end of the meeting when people were talking and things, I'm not sure if maybe if somebody knows they can call in, or we can make sure that we announce it maybe on your next show so that people will know ahead of time.
Yeah, because it didn't.
There's time I like.
Go ahead.
I'd like to just outline 4 of the key things that the coalition is asking for.
Okay, go ahead quickly because we have 2 minutes left.
Okay. Mm-hmm. One is the selection of community members. Actually, we've identified people that we feel like should be on the board of trustees to represent the community's interests.
Sure.
Also, we are demanding that they cancel the exhibit, which is titled Slavery at Jefferson's Monticello, Paradox, or Liberty. So we don't want it to come. Send it to the Charles H. Wright or the Monaco, whatever the new museum is up the street.
Mm-hmm.
We also are arguing and advocating for the retention of the mission of the museum based on that of Dr. Wright. And we're in consultation with the family to kind of get some insights on that. And finally, there's also been a selection committee identified and selected for people to serve on the committee to select the new CEO. We know that Juanita Moore left as the interim CEO, and we feel like the community should have some input in who the person that will be to sit on in that position the next time. We are real clear that there's an effort to derail the focus of the museum, and we're just not tolerating it. We're not going to lay down and take it. So that's
absolutely
where we are. But those are the 4 major objectives of this coalition.
All right, brother. Well, look, man, thanks for coming on, and I'll have people email me for more information as I get it. Thanks for coming on, brother, and I'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right.
All right, peace. People can email me at info at africanhistorynetwork.com, info at africanhistorynetwork.com for to find out when the next meeting is, okay? Hey, we're coming up on a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about hashtag being black. Then we're going to deal with picking up on the meeting that Kanye West had with Donald Trump. We'll pick up on the history of why African Americans switched from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party. Listen to the African History Network show, 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Hello, Superstation listeners. Jack Lessenberry here. I hope you're having a fantastic weekend.
All right, guys, stand by.
Come back with me Monday from 9 to 11 a.m.
We're back in a couple minutes here.
A new book on the basketball.
All right. Okay, so you got that queued up, right, Rachel?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going to send you this other clip also. So I need at least 3 hours for this show. Hey, do me a favor, Rachel. Can you turn that down and hear something, please? So, all right, guys. How's everybody doing? We've got Window. We've got, let me see who we have on here. I'm rebooting my computer now. We've got David Nabawi. How you doing, brother? He was at the meeting. We got Renee, Lamar. We got Brother Will. Non-Detroit residents allowed to purchase ministry. Oh yeah, people across the country can purchase a membership at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. People across the country can purchase a membership. Okay, you go to thewright.org, thewright.org, WRIGHT. Okay, one of our slogans is "Do the right thing," WRIGHT, do the right thing. But go to thewright.org. And you can purchase a membership there. All right. We've got, who else we have here? Letitia, Reggie. Who's a troll on here? Let me know who the troll is so I can block trolls. I've got trolls in different area codes. That's how you know when you're doing the right thing, you become popular. I've got trolls in different area codes. All right. And you can donate to the African History Network at paypal.me/the AHN show. Paypal.me/the AHN show. Yeah, I just sent you the second clip, Rachel. All right, Renee. Who else we have here? Everybody share this broadcast on your Facebook page. SB, Lisa, T. Jones. There's some of the people listening. See, it's interesting when trolls come on here acting a fool. You don't have anything better to do with your time than come on here and bother us? All right. We'll be back in 2 minutes, I think it is. All right, so we're going to deal with some of the history of why African Americans became, why we switched from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party, okay? Why we switched from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party. Yeah, once it gets past that commercial, Rachel, we'll just start it up from the beginning. All right, let's see here. Stand by. We'll be back in a minute. We got like a minute left, Rachel. 2 minutes. All right. Now we have a new bundle pack at the African History at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. It's the Africans Who Came Before Columbus. The Africans Who Came Before Columbus bundle pack. Okay. So be sure and order that. Let's see here. We need to go to AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. So when we come back, we're going to pick back up on our lead story. Our lead story was dealing with hashtag being black. Hashtag being black. Okay? And is dealing with white people keep calling the police on African Americans for no reason. Hashtag being black. Okay, we got Rah-Rah. Nicole, we've got Wendell.
55 seconds.
55 seconds. Jade, how you doing, Jade Arundel? All right, back in about 30 seconds.
20 seconds.
Okay.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 3, 2.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. Hey, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday, October 21st, 2018. Okay. And you can give us a call, 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number. We just spoke with Dr. Kefentse Chike talking about the effort to save the progressive programming at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. And I want to let you know, at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, we have, for our children, we have cartoons that teach them their history, the Mail Trek series, okay? The Mail Trek series. Episode 1 deals with exploring ancient Africa. Episode 2 deals with the pre-Columbian Americas. The pre-Columbian Americas. It deals with who was here before Europeans got here. Then we also have the storybook that goes along with episode 1. It's a full-color storybook, 47 pages. All right. And the storybook is 18. We have the coloring book that goes along with episode 1. The coloring book is $10, and the cartoons are $20 a piece. They're about 55 minutes in length. We have them all in the bundle pack, including all 3 episodes of Afro Man and the Protectors of the Book of Knowledge at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, or you can order them individually. All right. This Thursday, October 25th, at Sacred Heart Activities Building, 3451 Rivard Street in Detroit. The Committee to Preserve the Legacy of Chokwe Lumumba and Malcolm X Grassroots Movement presents State of the City Community Conference number 5. State of the City Community Conference number 5. I will be speaking there. Dr. Kefentse Chike, who you just heard here, he will be speaking there as well. The State of the City analysis of the City of Detroit. And we're going to deal with everything. I'll be talking about gentrification in the city of Detroit, what we can do about it. Dr. Kefentse Chike, he'll deal with the changes at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History, how to fight against that. Dr. Gloria Aneb, Detroit Independent Freedom Schools. We'll post this information at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. It's free to attend Thursday, October 25th, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. 2018. There'll be an African marketplace. We'll have a vendor table there as well. For more information, call 313-304-3915. 313-304-3915. Doors open at 5 p.m. The State of the City address is from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And we'll put this up at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Okay. All right. So in our first segment, we were talking about hashtag being black. Hashtag being black. And we keep seeing these stories that go viral of white people calling the police on African Americans, okay, for no good reason. All right, we talked about the Lyft driver and white people and some Hispanics, Puerto Ricans. In this case here, the Lyft driver, David Ortiz, he expressed regret over calling the African American man all type of negative derogatory terms, calling him the N-word, things like this. And then you have the we see a story, black father voluntarily leaves his son's soccer game to avoid confrontation, only for a white woman to call the police anyway. So this continues, okay? Then you had the story, which probably got the most amount of attention, out of Brooklyn, okay? And this deals with the woman who has been called Cornerstore, what they call her? I forgot what they called her. Well, her name is Teresa Klein, okay? Teresa Klein. And she claims that she accuses 9-year-old African-American boy of, she said, sexually assaulting her. She accused him of grabbing her flat behind. This is what happened. She calls the police. There was a big article from abcnews.com about this, okay? And I'm trying to pull that article up right now. I had it, don't know what happened to it. But she accused the boy of sexually assaulting her. So what happened was, the boy was in a store with his mother, and he had his backpack on. Apparently this was after school. He had his backpack on, and he turned around, his backpack brushed up against the woman, and she turns around just and sees him there, and automatically assumed the worst. Okay? And accused him of grabbing her behind, sexual assault. All right? Now, she's since, of course, apologized, as oftentimes they do when they have been proven wrong. Okay? Cornerstore Carolina, that's what they call it, Cornerstore Carolina. All right? But many people were saying this could have been an Emmett Till all over again. Okay? Many people are saying this could have been an Emmett Till all over again, because we know Carolyn Bryant was the white woman who lied on Emmett Till. And Emmett Till ended up dead. J.W. Millam and Roy Bryant were the two white men who kidnapped Emmett Till and tortured him and killed him. This is a lynching. August 28th, 1955 in Money, Mississippi. So when we look at the article from abcnews.com, abcnews.go.com, because abcnews.com is a fake website, abcnews.go.com, I felt humiliated. 9-year-old boy in Cornerstore Carolina video speaks out. Okay, so there was earlier in the week there was a community rally, and his mother was there, and he was there, and he said he did not forgive the woman. Since then, now he was on Good Morning America with his mother, and he said he forgave the woman. Okay, now there's been a lot of pressure on him to forgive the woman. And I find it interesting how even some African American leaders, like some of the ones there in the community, there in Brooklyn, are putting pressure on this boy to forgive this white woman. But they don't put pressure on Jews to forgive Germans for the Holocaust. There was just a story a few months ago of a 95-year-old former Nazi who was deported from the U.S. Okay, and people weren't asking Jews, "Do you forgive them?" New York Times, ex-Nazi guard in U.S., now 95, is deported to Germany. Now, when you watch the video of this dude, they pulling him out on a stretcher. He's barely alive. New York Times. No, read this article. Now, how do you ask him? See, forgiveness is a process, right? This boy is still traumatized by this, and you got Negro leaders in Brooklyn asking him, "Do you forgive her?" To hell with forgiveness. You need to deal with gentrification, because that's what this is about. This is about gentrification, which is 21st century colonization. That's what this is about. And this is why a lot of these Negro leaders don't want to deal with. This is why every last one of them needs to be voted out of office. Every last one of them needs to be voted out of office. Okay? Ex-Nazi guard in U.S., now 95 years old, is deported to Germany. Hell, World War II ended in 1945. Where's the forgiveness? August 21st, 2018, this article from the New York Times. The Nazi guard lived a quiet life in a racially diverse corner of New York City for decades, having lied on his United States immigration papers in 1949 about the type of work he did during World War II. But on Tuesday, now this is from a couple months ago, August 21st, right? This was a big story. I watched it on Good Morning America. But on Tuesday, he was deported to Germany, ending a 14-year battle to remove him from American soil. Where's the forgiveness? The expulsion of the former guard, his name I can't really pronounce it, Jaki Palij, Jakiw, Palij, Palij. The expulsion of the former guard rid the United States of the last known surviving Nazi war crime suspects still residing in the country, bringing to a close a long vexed effort by the government to deport him. It also handed Donald Trump, who had pressed strongly for his removal, a powerful talking point against critics of his immigration policies by shifting the focus to the deportation of a man associated with the worst atrocities of the Holocaust instead of thousands of unauthorized immigrants whose stories are far more sympathetic. So Palij, who was 95 years old, was first tracked down by investigators in 1993 and stripped of his American citizenship. 10 years later, when a federal judge found that he had falsely claimed in his visa application that he had worked on his father's farm in Poland and at a German factory during the period when he was actually serving the Nazis at a labor camp in occupied Poland. So read the rest of the story. So now, I'm not saying this incident is the same as Germans being exterminated by Nazis. And also there were 50,000 Afro-Germans, black Germans, who were exterminated by the Nazis also. But what I'm saying is there's a history of African-American men being lied on by white people and white women, which led to them being killed, which led to them being lynched. I ain't talking about after a trial. I'm talking about before a trial took place. There was no trial for Emmett Till. That was a lynching.
Thank you for calling 910.
So how is it that you got people trying to ask this 9-year-old boy who is still trying to cope with this, still trying to deal with this, do you forgive her? The hell with forgiveness. Why aren't they focused on gentrification and African Americans being pushed out of that community? So when we look at this story here from abcnews.go.com, I felt humiliated. 9-year-old boy in Cornerstore Carolina video speaks out. So the 9-year-old boy at the center of a viral video, dubbed Cornerstore Carolina, says he's struggling to move forward ever since a woman falsely accused him of sexual assault on camera, pushing him into a national conversation about racial profiling and excessive 911 calls made against African Americans. In an exclusive interview with Good Morning America this past Friday, that was what, October 19th, Jeremiah Harvey, who was African American, said he was traumatized and forced to look at race in a new way after a white woman claimed he groped her at a convenience store. He said, quote, "It's still hard because lately on my mind, like I can't think nothing but this." He said, "I felt humiliated because of the way she was acting. I started to tear up." So Jeremiah's case gained national attention earlier this month when a stranger later identified as Teresa Klein claimed he groped her at a Brooklyn convenience store not far from his home. Teresa Klein called the police and said, "I want the cops here right now." According to a social media video of the incident, she says, "I was sexually assaulted by a child." She just turned around and saw this African-American boy and automatically felt that he was guilty. Now, Klein issued an apology a few days later when surveillance footage showed Jeremiah's backpack grazing her flat behind as he walked by with his hands in front of him. She said, quote, "I called 911 because the woman was very aggressive," referring to his mother. Well, you just accused his... See, they need to have history lessons for white people moving in the African-American communities. Now, you just accused this black woman's son of sexual assault of a white woman. And you surprised he's being aggressive? You lucky that's all that happened. You surprised she's being aggressive? She said, "I called 911 because this woman was very aggressive," referring to the boy's mother, as she told the New York ABC affiliate WABC, who she said the woman threatened her. She said, quote, "Young man, I don't know your name, but I'm sorry," end quote. She apologized a few days later after reviewing the video. Once again, here you have video coming to the rescue, exonerating him. Now, Teresa Klein says she received threatening phone calls in the wake of the incident. Surprise, surprise. She also denied allegations that her 911 report had been motivated by race. Now, Jeremiah had been shopping with his mother and young sister when Klein levied the accusations against him, causing him to cry and yell for his mother to help. His mother, whose name is Somike Balil, said she found the situation hard to address because the woman made it about race right away, quote unquote. His mother said, quote, "She's on the phone and she's saying that I'm a white woman, that I'm standing in front of this deli, stating that this black mom and her 2 black kids are out here and that the son sexually assaulted me." She said, his mother said, she said, quote, she said, "Black child, black mother, and white woman," end quote. But the African-American woman is accused of making this about race. But this is what the white woman told the police when she called 911. Quote, "His innocence was taken for granted," end quote, she said. Now, Jeremiah told Good Morning America he cried that night out of fear that he or his mom would be taken away by police. Sameko Belil expressed concern that the incident has permanently scarred her son. She said, quote, "It was devastating to him because even after walking away, he was pointing to, patrol cars on Flatbush Avenue and saying, 'Mommy, are they here to take you away from us?'" End quote. Now, his mother said she struggled to explain the incident to her children. She said, quote, "To be having a conversation with your son about sexual assault at the age of 9, I never thought I'd be having this conversation," she told Good Morning America. She said, quote, "That fear that was placed in your heart," okay, she added, turning toward Jeremiah, quote, "it's going to be replaced with something great. You're going to be an example for other children." She said, "This is going to take some time. It's going to take a lot of healing," end quote. Now, the family spoke out for the first time this week during a community meeting in Brooklyn where Jeremiah broke down in tears. He said, "I don't forgive this woman and she needs help," he said. Now, days later, when asked if he would forgive Klein after viewing her on-camera apology, he responded, yes, I do." Jeremiah said he doesn't know how he'll move forward, but he plans to do so with love. Now, he said, quote, "Friendship is the key. It changed my whole mind of accepting the apology that she gave me," end quote. Now, and there's the video in the article of the interview. Now, many in the community think the mother and he were pressured to forgive this woman. I don't know why you're so quick for forgiveness. When you study the Holocaust, right? World War II ended in 1945. In August, they just deported a 95-year-old former Nazi who was involved in killing Jews. Where was the forgiveness? And this just happened, 2 weeks ago? And you're putting pressure on this boy to forgive this woman? Get the hell out of here with that nonsense. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to Mike, line 1. Hey, Mike, welcome to the African History Network show. Tell us where you're calling from. Go ahead.
Not to switch topics, but and I kind of got on here late, so I don't know if you discussed this, but
okay.
Did you hear about the situation on the east side, or did you discuss that about the gardener, the black gardener on the east side, that was accused of pedophilia and also threatened to kill 3 white ladies who live in the neighborhood? They called the cops on him just because he was gardening. Come to find out that these charges were false.
Yeah, I didn't talk about that. I saw a little something about that, but I didn't get a chance to talk about that one.
Yeah, Deborah Nash, Jennifer Morris, and Martha Callahan.
Okay, hold it right there, Mike. We come up on a break. I'll hold you over and continue on the other side of the break. Okay, stand by. Listen to the African History Network show right here, 9:10 AM Superstation Feature Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Hi, I'm Butcher Ellis.
You can't keep that turned up like that when you on the air and you got the headphones turned up. It's gonna give you a bunch of feedback. So.
Yeah, usually it doesn't do that. I'm switching out the headphones. I usually do that, and I usually don't get that feedback like that. All right, stand by, guys. We're on break. Stand by. We'll be back in 2 minutes. All right, guys. How's everybody doing? We've got Eric. We have Elizabeth. We have Sheila. So I just posted the article from abcnews.go.com. I just posted that article here on the thread of the broadcast, so you can check that out in its entirety. Where is the article dealing with Dunkin' Donuts? All right. I gotta go back to Mike, then get John. Then I'm gonna go to this clip from Roland Martin. We're gonna pick it up right about 23:10. The one from Roland Martin. That first clip. We'll go to that. How's everybody doing? Angie. All right, stand by.
30 seconds.
Huh?
30 seconds.
All right.
19 seconds. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. Hey, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It's Sunday, October 21st, 2018. Be sure to visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. For your children, we have the Mel Trek cartoons that teach them our history. Episode 1 deals with exploring ancient Africa. Episode 2 deals with exploring the pre-Columbian Americas. Okay, we have that. And then also we have the Mel Trek storybook that deals with exploring ancient Africa. It's a full-color storybook. It's 47 pages. And then we also have a coloring book as well that deals with exploring ancient Africa. Okay, and we have this. You can buy them individually. We also have them in the bundle pack. And then coming up this Thursday, October 25th, 2018, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Sacred Heart Activities Building, 3451 Brevard Street, Detroit, Michigan, the State of the City Community Conference, number 5. The State of the City Community Conference, number 5. I will be speaking there. Also, Dr. Kefentse Chike will be speaking there. Helen Moore, Keep the Vote, No Takeover. Activist Maureen Taylor, Michigan Welfare Rights. A number of people will be speaking there. For more information and to be a vendor, call 313-304-3915. 313-304-3915. Doors open at 5 p.m. This is free event, and it starts at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. We'll get this on our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Let's go back to Mike in Detroit. Hey, Mike, go ahead and finish the story you were talking about.
Yeah, I was just getting back a little locally here about the gardener on the east side, the urban gardener that was acquitted in a case where 3 white women who live in the neighborhood, Deborah Nash, Jennifer Morris, and Martha Callahan,
yes,
charged him of being a pedophile and also harassing them and threatening to shoot them. And this came up as a false accusation, and these women have not been charged. And I just feel like at this point, I know the story's new, but we need to march and protest in front of that house, and we also need to hold Kim Worthy accountable for this, the same way that if it were, someone else in the city, she would be going after them. Why haven't these ladies been charged for falsifying a police report?
Okay, so they didn't just call the police; they actually filled out a police report.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They filed a false police report.
Filed a false police report. You have a name of an article, a publication that the information came from that you're citing?
It was on the actual news. I can even play it for you right here.
Well, not right now. We don't have time for it. But if you had the name of an article or the name of the segment, people can pull it up.
If you give me 1 second here, I'm trying to find the news station, but it's all over the news.
Okay. They can go to WXYZ.com.
I think it is on XYZ. I just don't see it right now.
Okay.
But I'm almost positive. You know, I follow the news, so
right.
I pretty much tell that this is from an XYZ news clip. But it has been in print and local news by local reporters.
Yeah. They can go to WXYZ.com. That's one of the news sites. Okay. All right, Mike. Thanks for calling. Okay. Quickly, let's go to John, line 2. Hey, John, welcome to the African History Network show. Tell us where you're calling from.
Thank you very much, okay, for educating people about some of these downright disgusting, narrow-minded white women that would do something.
Yeah.
Like that. Did she ask the kid to forgive her for telling her allow him like that?
Yeah, she did.
She did ask for that, for forgive her.
Yeah, it was. She apologized through.
Not apologize. I went to the kid and asked him for forgive her.
I don't think it was face to face. I think it was in the. It was a video apology. I don't think she apologized face to face. You read one of the latest articles dealing with this from abcnews.go.com from Friday, October 19, 2018. It was a video apology that she issued. Okay, but go ahead with the rest of your comment.
I just wanted to let you know that Trump status was part of that cohesive getting them Nazis over here in the United States. He played a role. They standing quiet, but they said he was in a game with the people in the United States. Were trying to get the Nazis from over there to the United States. So I just wanted to let you know that Trump played a role in getting these Nazis over here. So far.
Okay.
And I